So, today I'm going to speak about this book, Kamila Shamsie's Home Fire, which was a big influence on the Documenta project about halal fried chicken. I'm going to see Kamila Shamsie tonight, so I'm looking forward to that. One of the things that influenced me about this book was thinking how to communicate to a mass audience who may not know about Islam, how to communicate and make it intelligible. So Kamila Shamsie writes, mass market, paperback, conventional 19th century novels. This particular novel is really important in terms of it's about citizenship deprivation and the inequality of citizenship by people who are non-white or dual parentage or from former colonies, and mostly British Muslims have had their citizens stripped away. Also one Russian as well, but predominantly aimed at British Muslims. So I read it as part of a reading group in Tooting reading group. Significantly for present purposes, Kamila Shamsie was also another victim of Germany's bizarre and deranged laws on BDS. So she had a award taken away from her. She was one of the first cases I was aware of this happening, and very sad. Go to Artists for Palestine UK. You can download this guide, which is a artist guide for advocating for BDS, and it's got a foreword by Kamila. But to the book, so the book is it's set in present day Britain, and it's about a Pakistani diaspora family, and it's acclaimed by everyone, including right-wing newspapers like the Mail and the Times and the Sunday Times, as well as the sort of centre liberal Guardian. It's about citizenship deprivation. So there's revolved around, I think, is it 5 characters? Like Isma, so some Pakistani family, and then one of the characters makes has a citizenship stripped away, and then the siblings fight for them, and I rated it 7 out of 10, but I'd rate it higher than that on the basis of how Kamila uses this book in the public domain. So she's written a lot about citizenship deprivation in the Guardian column. She's written about Mahdi Hashi's case, the British Somali care worker who had his citizenship stripped away after being tortured. I met Mahdi Hashi's family, his sister and his mum. I've really campaigned as a citizenship stripping is essentially one's right to have rights, and should not be a measure anyone constitutionally takes. It's evil, a form of state extremism. And there's also characters which are quite interesting here. So there's a Home Secretary who's exactly like Sajid Javid, and in a sort of weird prophecy, when Sajid Javid took away Shamima Begum, the British Bangladeshi citizenship, people saying he's just like the character in this book. I only rate it 7 out of 10. There's points in which it goes into experimental writing, like tweets and stuff, but it's a conventional 19th century novel. I don't think it's as good as like Layla Abu Layla's Kindness of Enemies, which does it so much better. I don't think it's as witty and clever as Zadie Smith's White Teeth. There's something very good about it too. It's very accessible, but then I don't think Kamila really gets how people of colour speak. Like this sort of hybrid urban, a bit of Jamaican patois, a bit of grime, a bit of like they're all speaking like if they were in some Jane Austen novel. Think of Irvine Welsh capturing that Glasgow working class dialect. I think Zadie Smith, her brilliant Muslim characters. Also, Zadie Smith's White Teeth also influenced show radicals. These characters like that, a mishmash of like the Black Panthers and sort of their grandiose Ottoman revivalist ideas. So Kamila doesn't quite get that. I don't think she's someone of a class that would have close proximity to, say, the fried chicken people. I mean, there's no fried chicken in the book. I mean, how can you have a novel about British Muslims with no halal fried chicken? It's still a good book. I even wanted my mum to read it, or my mum never reads books that I recommend to her. Um, but yeah, it's funny. I read it with a reading group in London, in Tooting, where I grew up and lived. It was an all-white reading group. I discovered it on Eventbrite. It was a nice evening I had, and everybody in that group, all white liberal types, all thought citizenship deprivation was wrong. They were like, if someone's made a mistake, they should have a right to, like, firstly be sentenced or trialed or whatever. But people make mistakes when they're young and they repent. Um, so that impressed me, that I could communicate this sympathy to people who probably weren't. I have friends who've been in Guantanamo Bay. I work very closely with civil liberties and like human rights abuses, the war on terror. So I know a lot of people. I know Shaka Armour, I know Mozambique, I know people who've been abused by. I know Mohammed Oud Stali is a very dear, beloved friend of mine who's in the film The Mauritanian. I was also working with arts to highlight abuse in the Mauritania. He's actually doing a contemporary dance, which is very unlike a lot of very macho British Muslim guys. So she doesn't get that macho idea. She doesn't get the thing. It's very. I think I actually like the structure of it. There's a ton written on this book. I don't think it's as breathtaking and fearless as these. Like the New York Times says it's one of the most memorable final scenes. The Spectator, Observer books of the year. I mean, a contemporary classic. I wouldn't go that far. As I said, she's not as good. If you want to read about a brilliant conventional narrative novel about the British Muslims, read The Kindness of Enemies by Layla Abu Layla. It's far more clever. But having said that, it's still a good book. It's directly about citizenship stripping. But I guess so. She's sort of interweaving things. So she has mention of like Ozil, the German, Turkish footballer. She mentions like Assalamu alaikum. There's bits from the Quran. Allah does not burden a soul with more than it can bear. So how to weave an everyday Islamic understanding, which for me is my first language, into like a popular form. And that's what I learned and tried to learn from this book, and that's why it was very important for the Documenta project around fried chicken. So do read it, book, and do everything you can to get these powers of citizenship stripping. See this thing behind me, Stop Rwanda, look up that hashtag. I mean, the whole dehumanizing way the Home Office and the government treats people of colour, black and brown people, filters into lots of other oppressive mechanisms. And I view the Stop Rwanda campaign, the citizen stripping, as sort of connected. This sort of racial idea about deportation and like citizenship, like it was really weird because a lot of the very uneducated people who read the Build and Axel Springer Press, they actually thought I'd been deported from Germany. I wasn't deported. Actually, Documenta paid for me to stay longer to research anti-Muslim exclusion and Islamophobia within the Documenta archives, inspired by the excellent work they've done on post-Nazi anti-Semitism, and also the link between Documenta and Jewish diaspora. No, I wasn't deported, and no, I'm not from Palestine, and no, I'm not even really from Bangladesh. I haven't been in Bangladesh for 12 years. My home is London. Do you understand that? So, yeah, some of the trolls didn't get that. But this idea of that citizenship should be unconditional or conditional. Like, we shouldn't have conditional citizenship. Citizenship is about your right to have rights. It's about the first duty of government, which is to protect your right to life. So anyway, read this book. You'll have a deeper understanding of the halal fried chicken shop at Documenta, but also, yeah, follow the issues in it too. So I hope I enjoy seeing Kamila Shamsie tonight. This is her book, Home Fire, and I recommend it to you watching this now.